So first off, big shout out to Jono, aka Sendy Goat MTB on Instagram. Just got in contact with me randomly. Said, look, I love the channel. You're getting some 165 cranks. Don't buy them. Let me send you some. Hooked me up just out of nowhere. Sent me some 165 Dior XT cranks, so a killer crank set with a 30 tooth, and he sent me a 32 tooth as well, so I can experiment back and forth, kind of do what I want there. Full 29er, I'd like to run a 30, but if I mullet this, I'm going to run a 32 at the front. So it's perfect. I got the options. So can't thank you enough, man. What a legend. Thank you so much. This is what I think the world needs more of, and just people need more of in their hearts. Just the idea of giving, the idea of you don't need to just take in this world. You got to give and give and give in order to prosper, I think. Anyway, shout out Jono, thank you very much. They're on now, and you were right, I didn't need to change the bottom bracket. I did mess around a fair bit, and I did change the shell on the bottom bracket thinking that I needed to come out, because these are a 52mm chain line crank, so a shorter spindle, slightly shorter spindle, and the standard that comes with this bike, the 23 Rain, is a 55mm chain line. So I thought I had to change some things, get rid of the little spacer in there, but turns out it's all accounted for. It's all accounted for. So pretty much bolted straight on with the same BB setup as the 55 chain line with the XT setup. I know it might be a little bit different with SRAM. That's kind of what threw me off, but we're in business. We got the XT crank, so they're going to get beat up. 165. You can't run anything longer than 165. You can. I've been doing it for the last few weeks, and I got used to it, got normal, and then I rode the Banshee on the weekend with 165s and absolutely loved it, and just needed to get straight back on 165s. So made it happen, and we're absolutely in business. Now to talk about the bike a little bit. Had it for a few weeks now, done a heap of runs in a few different spots, got the feel for it. Rode the Rune on Sunday, trying to get a setup happening again for it, and then went out on Monday morning on this to Kangarilla and did 9 laps. Kangas is a little steeper, smoothish in a lot of spots, but then you got choppy routes and a heap of braking bumps on the steeper trails. So good to test the ride height, suspension quality, and momentum, and making sure that fork's holding up when I'm putting a bit more weight on it, but not too stiff and kind of pushing me around or bouncing offline or not grabbing grip when I need it when you're coming into a fast, like a bumpy braking bump, riddled left hand or right hand, or a shoot into a turn or something like that. So it kind of gave me a good opportunity to see how it feels on stuff like that. And so far, I've been stoked with this thing. Full 29er, haven't bothered me. Not when I had the Trek, I was a little bit more. Maybe I've spent enough time on 29ers now to feel a little more comfortable on them. But I think there's something to do with this, the overall, like, this just feels a little more low slung. And I don't know if that wheel's getting in the way at all. I don't know if it's doing too much 29er stuff out the back. But again, after riding the Rune on the weekend, I think I want to mullet it for sure. I definitely, if the suspension platform works really well still as a mullet, this bike will end up a mullet, absolutely. And it just keeps the weight down a little bit at the back. This crank changeover is 220 grams, I think it is, difference. So that's a bit of a chunk. So we've dropped 220 grams straight off the cranks. The wheel set's quite heavy. So if I can get a lighter back wheel built, still strong, I could probably build like an FR 560 DT Swiss, or even a Flow EX3, which I think might be the way I'm going to go for the back, and still get away with a little bit of a lighter back end, I think. Especially if I go 27, it'll definitely be lighter. So 17.5 kilos, as I've mentioned, as it comes. It's probably more like 17.2, 17.3. I did have a pretty heavy old multi-tool stashed in the compartment here. I love this. Same as the Trek. Internal storage. It's killer. I've got a clean skin bottle cage on it. Seems to be doing the job pretty well. It's like a switcheroo. You can switch it from left entry to right entry and whatever. You can't really enter from the side, but you still got to enter from the top. Maybe you can, but I don't know. It feels like you're just pushing. So anyway, that doesn't matter. The Fox 38 feels killer. I'm not there yet with setup, but I'm close enough that if it never got any better, I wouldn't care. That is killer. It's quite good. So I'm happy with the fork. This little shock I mentioned in my last video, the shock's killer. With the 0.6, it's feeling quite good. I'm running it at 147 psi. Seems to be my sweet spot. That allows for a bit of compression, allows for a few clicks of compression to keep everything controlled. If I go stiffer and no compression, it's choppy. If I go 147 and no compression, it's light. It's really quite light. I don't want it to be too light. I want it to be stable and controlled out the back. So I want that lighter pressure, slightly lighter pressure, a little bit more compression, and it's it's mowing over stuff. Good control. It plants. It's like I mentioned the other day. It just sit and stay. Like, yeah, it's good. The frame, this stuff that wasn't coming loose, so that the shock mount bolts don't come loose. The back one came loose a couple of times. These ones came loose a couple of times. No biggie, just stay on top of them. I don't think that's come loose yet. I pulled this fork out, greased the steer and greased the headset and whatnot. So that's killer now. It wasn't great from the start, but it was okay. It was good enough. Riding, it just is easy. It's an easy ride. I like this bike a lot. I've still got a few trails I've got to push it on. I've got to push it on horsies. I think it's been good everywhere. I think it really has been good everywhere. What am I going to do? I'm definitely going to mullet it. I think that's the next move. I think that's the next move, because really, at this stage, I'm just riding it. I can just ride it. I've got the Marzocchi away for a tune, so that'll be back with any luck on Friday, but I doubt it. It'll probably be back on Monday. When that gets back, it's a whole new world. We're going to go mullet, coil, see how we go. But for now, yeah, short cranks, everything's good. It's just heavy on the wheels. Climbs all day. I've been climbing. I went out with all the e-bike boys, so there was 4 dudes on e-bikes and then me on my little rice bike or bread bike, whatever, whatever your food that you fuel up with. That's what these things are. They just run on bananas, run on bread, run on rice, run on meat. So it's the modern day DeLorean. Just runs on junk food. And it's been killer. It's been killer. So I did flog myself. I did 9 climbs at Kangaroo with the e-bike boys, and I was cactus. The last run I pushed up the steep bits. But I got up all the same. No idea how many Ks or how much climbing that is. But the day before, I was on the Rune climbing. The Rune climbs better. The Rune climbs faster. It's not as smooth on the climb, but it's faster. I'll see if I can make this as fast as that on the climb. But my main goal is to make this thing faster on the descents. So I want this to be faster than the Slash, faster than the Rune, faster than the Remedy, and faster than the Patrol. So, which means I've got to be faster than I was when I was on the Remedy. I've got to be faster than I was when I was on the Patrol, when I was on the Slash. So I'm kind of called to action to get my skills as good as possible so I can ride at that pace safely and be able to put those kinds of times in and see if I can make this thing sing, because it's all well and good at buying all the new stuff, but if you don't have it in your heart or you don't have it in your mind to go at that pace or to knuckle down and develop the skills to be able to be at that pace safely, doesn't matter how much money in the world you're going to spend, you're still not going to have a fast ride. It's up to you how you ride. So yeah, I guess what I'm saying is I don't want to say I'm coming back to like previous form, but maybe I am. Get a few of these and my ego might start getting up there, and Might start getting hungry. I really don't have a desire to compete anymore. I feel like it puts me in a state of mind where I'm unaware of, or I lose perspective of the potential risks of racing, which if you're going to be racing, you shouldn't really be thinking too much about that anyway. But I got to keep my ego in check. Your ego is not your amigo at the races. You must ride within yourself and only do what you're capable of doing outside of race day. You should never ever, racing's coming, I'm just going to win or bin. Checkers or wreckers, what they say. So I'll develop the skills again and I'll tighten things up and get a little quicker and see if I can make this bike go fast, which it does feel like it's going to go fast. It doesn't feel like it's going to hold me back, and we'll see where we're at. So maybe expect me at a race or two this year. Definitely expect me at a race or two this year. For now, I'm going to ride.